Hi, it's Rich Tarani. Thanks for watching. You're taking part in TMC on the road in Dallas, Texas. On my program are representatives from Samsung. Gentlemen, please let me know your name, your division, and your title.
Thanks, Rich. Very excited to be here. My name is Nick Ray. I'm with our Samsung Business Division. I lead our technical pre-sales team. And so we work with channel partners, we work directly with customers, and we're the geeks who speak, if you will. So we keep one foot in engineering, we keep one foot in sales, and we make sure that throughout the process, if there are technical hurdles, technical questions, we're there to help them through and make sure that their experience is very positive.
Excellent. Thanks.
I'm John D'Annunzio, General Manager of Samsung's Wireless Enterprise business. Our business is enterprise-class communication servers and wireless networking, part of Samsung Business, along with Nick. We provide the glue, so to speak, that brings together all the different various Samsung products. Our customers have been looking for one solution provider, and the portfolio from Samsung Business is very broad, from all the different screens we know about so well, communication servers, digital signage, printers, obviously mobile devices.
So there's a mobile business, a wireless enterprise. Could you tell me how these work together and what sorts of trends you're seeing in the market, please?
Well, I'll start off with that. So historically, let's say last year and the year before, we were somewhat siloed. We have this breadth of products in our portfolio, as John alluded to, but we engaged our customers in sort of a one-to-one fashion with that particular product. So with Samsung Business being created last year, we just kind of walked through what that was earlier. It was a way for us to bring all those products together, create a single organization, create a brand, Samsung Business, that allows us to communicate effectively with our customers externally, but brings us together internally as well, so that we have a much more cohesive strategy in how we go to market with our vast array of screens as well as our wireless networking technology.
Anything to add?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we get asked sometimes, well, Samsung isn't a household name when it comes to wireless networking for the enterprise. And that's true. We're a relatively new entrant, having just really gotten started in North America last year. But we waited on purpose because of the onset of 802.11ac, Wave 1 and Wave 2, and with all the capability that Samsung has in the portfolio, we feel that now is the perfect time to enter. In fact, the Wi-Fi Alliance says the best time to get into wireless networking was 15 years ago. The second best time is right now. We have some unique capabilities with the product line that leads to superior performance at a better price performance, and again, customers have been saying we want a solution from one Samsung, from Samsung Business, that brings the entire portfolio and all those verticals together from one supplier.
So you certainly have a unique product line in terms of the mobile side. You've also got the wireless enterprise side. Curious, how do these things merge together, and what are some of the benefits of the convergence of these two different areas that you're playing in?
Yeah. So I'll take that for example. So Samsung is a well-known brand in the cellular infrastructure world, and we leverage within the Wi-Fi capability, within the access point, some of those cellular capabilities. So while the access point is indeed spec compliant, we add some interesting things that come from the LTE space that make the experience for the user better. One of those would be our intelligent beam steering. You have a set of sensor arrays that are constantly scanning the environment for the RF traffic, and we can dynamically change the beam steering where the antennas are pointed, or where the beam of the antenna is pointed, dynamically in the environment to give uninterrupted coverage. So that's really important in a classroom environment, for example, K through 12, where you may have 30 students on one side of the room and the teacher on the other. Or it's important in a large venue where people are moving around. Or it's important in a enterprise where you may move from a conference room into the hallway into individual offices. So that's a competitive advantage, and that beam steering capability comes from an LTE network. We also add the ability from LTE to assign bandwidth as a function of time. We call it air equalizer. It's basically airtime sharing. Most access points, you get all the bandwidth if you're the first device connected, Rich. If you're the second device, you get half the bandwidth, and so on and so on. The way we have it engineered is everyone has equal slices of time. So a super fast device like the Galaxy S6 would get more bandwidth than, let's say, a slower speed device. So why is that important? That's important because you get a better experience for the full enterprise. And when you start to look at unified communications, which TMC has a strong history, we have enabled some other functionality with thin software running on endpoints that allows better handover. Another thing that comes from LTE networks. When you're driving down Interstate 95, you get handed off from cell phone tower 1 to cell phone tower 2. That's typically command and controlled by the core network. Well, with typical enterprise Wi-Fi networks, it's not done that way. The device itself makes that decision. Not with Samsung. With Samsung, we leverage the LTE capability using a brand we call AirMove. That thin software reports back to the core network, and our access point controller command and controls that handover. So you're looking at a better experience, better connectivity, better coverage, seamless mobility for all those devices which are connected in the mobile enterprise.
From a mobile device standpoint, it's obvious from everything that John just said that we grew up, at least on the Wi-Fi side of the house, with enterprise. So as we evolve our product portfolio, our solutions, our capability on the mobile device side, there's always a need for Wi-Fi in every single deployment that we work with all of our customers. So as we're going through and defining what it is they want to achieve from a line of business perspective on the device, whether we want to or not, we're working on that Wi-Fi infrastructure as well. So as we run into challenges, we run into unique configurations, we run into unique ways that they might authenticate or associate a device to a wireless network. As we run into those challenges, we run into those unique requirements, all the experience that we've had by building out this wireless enterprise infrastructure over the last several years benefits us on the mobile device side. So as others that are in this space don't have that same benefit. So we work very closely together when it comes to making sure that the Wi-Fi, the wireless enterprise experience, is top-notch. And when we do run into challenges, we're able to address them and resolve them very quickly.
Do you feel the recent announcement between Apple and Cisco working more closely together is validation of something that your company's been doing for years? I mean, you've been talking about this for years.
Yeah, we definitely have been talking about for several years now the enterprise desires of Samsung, especially around mobility, and we've always embraced an ecosystem approach. So from the launch of our Samsung Solutions Exchange a couple of years ago, as well as individual point relationships with various partners out in the ecosystem, we're very much big believers that Samsung can't do it alone, especially in the enterprise. It's very critical that we have relationships with all the different key solution partners and all the different key verticals to deliver an excellent experience. And that's not necessarily just a Wi-Fi experience, but it's key solutions within the medical or healthcare vertical, or within field services, or within education, and making sure that their solutions run well, if not better, or even in a differentiated fashion on Samsung hardware.
But there's also benefits, right, to owning everything, or at least owning some of the critical components.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, those are two world-class companies, a leader in endpoints and a leader in network infrastructure, coming together to provide one solution. I think Samsung's differentiated because if you think about our capability, we're a leader in endpoints, we're a leader in, the full portfolio set, and we're also a leader in applications development, whether we do that ourselves or do partners, such as Nick said. So that buttresses the fact that we think we can compete under the brand of Samsung Business with a broad portfolio. So that's how we're a little different.
Just to try to be fully objective, I'd also say you're a leader in screen technology. I mean, it's just another area that you guys are, you do an amazing job. So we talked a little bit about trends. Are there any other trends that you're seeing in mobility or wireless that we should talk about?
Absolutely. Well, there's always this trends that you could follow, and it seems today that a lot of what we're hearing from enterprise customers is, what can we do with the Internet of Things, right? It's the buzzword of the day, and Samsung's made significant investments as evidenced by our purchase of SmartThings, a bit more of a consumer play, and that ecosystem, that set of experiences around smart home is rapidly evolving. And then tie that into what we're doing with the announcement earlier this year around SmartThings Open Cloud. You've got this rich array of endpoints, pieces of hardware. They're doing unique things, taking unique measurements. And then what do you do with all this information? You need an infrastructure that can house it, but enable the ecosystem to plug into that, whether that's Samsung hardware, someone else's hardware, or a third-party solution that's plugging into that open cloud to enable rich solutions. And so as we evolve on the consumer side around Internet of Things, on the enterprise side of the house, we're in a very unique position to be able to draft off of that, learn from that, and enable similar experiences on the enterprise. And initially, you'll start to see us focus on a much more pointed strategy around IoT and enterprise, and driven primarily, at least in the beginning, around making sure that's a very secure experience. With what we've done on the mobile device side with Samsung Knox and how we've hardened Android and really taken that to a new level of acceptance with even the most security-conscious organizations, we're taking that technology and we'll be infusing it into more IoT hardware, IoT solutions that you'll see from us in the future.
Great. John, you have something to add?
Yeah, I'd love to add something. So those are excellent points. IoT is obviously the largest addressable market for all of us in technology over the next 10 years or so. It's still somewhat nascent when it comes to a business-to-business perspective, although we do have some partners in the hospitality space that are allowing the TV remote control through a dongle in the television to control lights, electrical sockets, thermostat, curtains and things of that nature. We've recently announced an IoT-enabled wireless LAN device coming out, and obviously there are use cases for building automation and monitoring of various devices in the typical verticals we've worked in, such as medical and whatnot. But I will highlight how important security is. It's clearly very important. There's articles in the newspaper every day about this device or that device have to be particularly secured. So again, Samsung, as one Samsung and Samsung Business, can secure not only from Knox on the actual endpoint device, but we have the ability to secure over-the-air interface with our particular device, and we're working with partners on our own in that ecosystem to secure all the way back from the endpoint through the network infrastructure. So absolutely agree, security is important, and IoT is really important.
So from where you guys sit with the strength in mobility, the strength in wireless, are there any unique solutions other than the things we've discussed that you like to talk about in terms of what you're providing to markets?
I think I go back to this notion of, security, productivity, and integration is how we're approaching the market from a mobility standpoint. We talked about security. Productivity, what can we enable out of the box? And it's not any one thing, it's a collection of all the different things that you can do. When I pull the S Pen out of the Note 5, the things that I can do with it in total is really what makes the experience unique and sets us apart from the other phablet type devices that are out there. But then on the third piece, integration, I think this is where it gets really exciting, where from a solution standpoint, something unique, where we don't necessarily have the ability to do these things because we may not be as nimble as a big company, so we rely on some of these smaller partners to do that for us. So one example might be we work with a partner called Caprica, and they have a solution called Tachyon, and it allows for the deployment of thousands of mobile devices, and it automates the configuration and deployment process. Will actually mimic anything that can be done with your hand on the user interface and automates that. So you can deploy thousands of devices that have very complex configurations in very, very little period of time. Another partner we're working with enables a very rich experience in terms of workflow on a wearable. I might be working on an airplane and working to board passengers, and how do I easily and quickly communicate that I've got a duplicate seat, or the bins are 50% full, they're 75% full. These repetitive tasks that can be really distracting and sometimes time-consuming can be easily executed on a wearable. And so we have partners that are enabling those kinds of experiences. That's where I think the most excitement is coming from.
From our business, I alluded to this earlier, I'm particularly excited about mobile communications in the enterprise. I alluded to something called Samsung Smart Wireless LAN. It's downloadable from the Google Play Store or from the App Store, runs in both particular endpoint environments. And mobile communications in the enterprise, be it any sort of unified communications solution from any one of the market leaders, can run better across Samsung Wi-Fi because we enable that mobility much more easily. You won't have a lost dropped video call or an IM session. You'll have superior voice quality, and that's where communications are going regardless of the particular endpoint. So we're particularly enthused about that, leveraging our AirMove technology and leveraging something we call voice-aware traffic scheduling, where we just provide better throughput, 50% higher call rate across our transportation technology, across the wireless LAN. So those things I'm particularly excited about because we make what everyone wants to do in the enterprise, unified communications, better.
So great. We're talking about then how the two divisions have come together. You're making things better. You're bringing better solutions to market. You're integrating Knox and IoT. So lots of really cool things we've talked about. What's next? What are the next big things we can expect from your company?
It's hard to say. The field is wide open, right? From a mobile standpoint, we're going to see more and more capability enabled within our wearable portfolio, as evidenced by the Gear S2 and having a rich, unique interface and infusing enterprise capability, enterprise management into our wearables, right? Where IoT is fairly nascent, wearables are fairly nascent in the enterprise, right? We're now getting a lot of momentum around how that can be utilized to streamline operations. Virtual reality, absolutely a key piece. You just saw recently with a very well-known hotel provider enabling a rich VR experience in the hotel room powered by the Galaxy S6 and the Gear VR. And we're just scratching the surface of what we can do in that technology. We'll be evolving that to include things like training. And there's very, very dangerous industries out there where you have technicians out in the field that are put in harm's way. And a lot of times the only way they can learn is to be put in harm's way. But with virtual reality, we can take that training experience and enable it out in the field without putting that person in harm's way. That's just one example of many ways that you're going to start to see virtual reality start to become more relevant in the enterprise space.
So I think the biggest change will be this increasing presence in market we'll see of Samsung Business. We're seeing so many deals where someone may engage us for that terrific screen. Samsung's, as you alluded to, Rich, best in class. Screen technology. We get pulled in a lot of deals saying we're interested in your screens. And as they look at whether it's a large venue or a stadium or whatnot, they're saying we'd like to have connectivity. Then they'd like to have an understanding of the application space and how they can potentially work with us in application development, be it with ourselves or a partner, to enable a fully, deeply immersive experience for those millennials attending. So you're going to start to see a lot more of one Samsung with a broader portfolio and a broader brand approaching the market. For our business, in particular with wireless networking, it's about the application layer. It's about the cloud, as Nick's been alluding to. Being able to take advantage of the information available across the access point about location-based services, for example. Where are my clients? What are they doing? Potentially tracking equipment and devices with certain types of tagging. Being able to dip into the cloud for the analytics and the regression information you can get. And increasingly the whole market's headed towards, applications and control in the cloud. Those are things that will be coming from our business unit. But I'm most excited about Samsung Business and the overall brand because there's a lot of power from having one hand to shake.
So one final bonus question. I think that one of the most innovative things that's happened in the hardware space in the last 2-3 years is the Edge screen, and especially the latest Note Edge. When do you think there will be some kind of killer application or just killer use of those edges that is going to increase the adoption? Because I think many people, I wasn't one of them, but many journalists thought it was a gimmick in the beginning, but now they finally woke up to the fact that it's like having extra screen real estate that can do other things while you're doing other things on your screen. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you'll start to see, again, the third-party ecosystem tap into that. We have a software development kit that allows a developer to utilize that real estate in any way they see fit. Now, out-of-box capability is becoming more and more accepted, right? The ability to swipe from the edge, quickly access the 5 people that you communicate with the most, swipe real quickly on the screen to interact with the 5 applications that you use the most. So what we've done with the latest Galaxy S6 Edge Plus is enable that kind of experience to make it easily accessible. Now, easily accessible is a key piece there because what happened in some of the earlier instances of Edge technology, it was only there during certain times on the device. So maybe I'm in a screen where the edge isn't accessible. So making that accessible at all times is going to be critical. And we have already had third parties start to integrate capabilities within their applications. You might have a task-related application or a productivity-related application where you're constantly doing the same things. And I'll use tasks as an example. Something pops into my brain, I might have to close an app or save my work or go back to the home screen, open my app tray. You might have 5 or 6 clicks before you finally get there. And with the attention span these days, wait, why did I do this? What was I thinking about? You can easily access that with the Edge screen by swiping up from the left or from the right. Now that it's available on both sides. The Note Edge only had one, so whether you're left-handed or right-handed, you can access those features quickly and easily. So I think it's really going to be our third-party ecosystem, third-party application partners that really drive what can be done with that Edge screen as extra real estate.
Well, we're all looking forward to that. Anything to add, John? Just want to make sure.
Nick's the corporate expert on that in that area.
Thank you, gentlemen. Great interview. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.